everybody. So today is Saturday. That means it's time for family movie night. And today we're continuing on Teen Movie Month. And this is the series where we look at films targeted at a teenage demographic. And it allows me to talk about maybe some films that are a little bit edgier than your typical family movie night picks. And it's a lot of fun. I've been doing it for many years. It's an interesting choice because we're talking about Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. And I love the title. I really enjoyed the poster. So it's one of those ones that I had been wanting to see, but had just slipped through the cracks. I was hopeful that this would prove to be kind of a hidden gem, that, oh, not enough people are talking about this, kind of moving on to dystopians at that point, to, things like Twilight, stuff like that. And so I was hopeful that that would be the case. Well, I finally watched it, and unfortunately, that is not the case. I don't know if it's 14% bad on Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm gonna had a rotten score, so I guess I do think that that's the way Rotten Tomatoes works. And this movie has a lot of problems for it. I'd be curious to read the book that it's based on to see if the character is as unlikable in the book as it is in the movie. I mean, I'd be inclined to guess that because you're in her head and you can kind of hear what she's thinking, that like it is more palatable in the book. And I guess originally Hilary Duff was going to be playing this role, and then she backed out. And so then they got Lindsay Lohan. And part of the problem with this movie is that they don't make either her so over the top that there's humor in her sort of learning to be a better person kind of arc that you might have in a movie like this. Like, I was kind of thinking about sort of Sharpay's arc through the course of the High School Musical movies, that she kind of learns to be less selfish and learns to, and then that's when they do the full Sharpay movie, which is not great, but at least like her personality is kind of over the top. Like, it's a little bit more compelling. Plus, for most of the movie, she's a side character, not the main character. Well, in this one, she is unlikable and selfish, like Sharpay in that first movie, but it's not over the top. It's not like in a funny way. It's just narcissism and selfishness. And especially what she does to her poor friend is painful to watch. And you see her get lied to, get like basically extorted for money to pay for these tickets to this band, and finally she just kind of lose it. The idea that this is kind of our the idea that this is our heroine is just not earned. There's not enough that shows her as an unlikable person. And then the side characters, like I said, you her poor friend who is abused and treated terribly and lied to throughout. It's just like kind of a punching bag. It's not like funny. It's not over the top. You don't get a sense of like that much of a vindication. Just finally like tell her to stop lying, but like that's not really like funny or satisfying. And I heard some people claiming this was similar to something like Lady Bird, but Lady Bird, you have that like funny script that's over the top. Like, I never really laughed at this. Plus, you have such a great performance. It's really more about a mother-daughter dynamic. And this is just like about her being selfish for 2 hours. Yeah. It was the theatrical debut of Megan Fox, and she's supposed to be playing the mean girl, which, yes, she is, mean and selfish at times too. But like, you're supposed to buy that she's a bad person because Lola, or Mary, depending on what she wants to be called, Lindsay Lohan's character, that she's not going to show up to the play at first because she's so embarrassed for having been a liar about this band and everything. And she's not going to show up to the play, which is the lead play in the play. And so rightfully so, the understudy played by Megan Fox is like excited about going on. Well, then she shows up last minute, and then we're supposed to think that Claire is a bad person. Megan Fox is a bad person because she was excited to perform. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And if you're going to have the play be a take on Pygmalion, it's like a rock and roll version of Pygmalion or My Fair Lady. Why wouldn't you have your main character go through a sort of My Fair Lady-esque Pygmalion arc in that, where she gets that confidence, she gets that like learning how to speak effectively, learning how to communicate. If you think about even High School Musical, they do go through a certain degree of a Romeo and Juliet kind of arc, obviously not the sad part, but just the love story where they're on kind of different sides. She's a nerd, he's the jock, and they're divided. So there's like a little bit of sort of the arc of the show that they're doing, and that to me would make much more sense. And instead you're just kind of following this kind of miserable teen and watching her lie and cheat and be rude. I mean, there's some good, decent music because Lindsay Lohan's pretty talented. There just wasn't much to enjoy about this. I was surprisingly negative and surprisingly boring. Like, I just was not interested in the story or what was happening. And even like her parents could have been more over the top, like just something to be entertaining and to enjoy the experience. She ends up meeting this rock star that she was idolizing, and turns out he's an alcoholic, and that's not done like in an over the top kind of entertaining way. It's in a, I am very unpleasant and I'm just a drunk. Like, it's just kind of like, wow, I feel, are we sure we're not watching the dystopian with this thing? And it's too bad because it was directed by a woman, it was written by a woman. So you would have liked to have seen that maybe they could find some kind of insight into the teenage years, but instead it's just this kind of miserable experience that's not funny, that's not insightful, that's not clever, that's not good characters. You have no idea why Ella, the friend, is spending any time with this girl. I would avoid her like the plague, especially after the whole incident with movie tick and with the, especially after everything with the concert tickets, that is a complete mess. I don't know. It just has very little to hang its hat on. And I was hoping from the poster and just, I was hoping that it would be like this hidden gem, but it's really not. It doesn't even have like any swoon worthy scenes between her and the rock star, or her and the Lovinger Sky Sam. You don't get much there, or like her parents aren't entertaining. She lies about them, and I'm not sure why, because I guess they're moving to New Jersey. She wants to be a Broadway singer. That all feels very undercooked. It just did not come together. It's one of those projects that the pieces are all there, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't come together. So that was disappointing. I was hoping it would be better. Let me know what you think of this movie. Do you think it's an underrated little gem? Do you dislike it? Where are you at on this spectrum of Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. And check out all my Teen Movie Month reviews, all my Family Movie Night reviews. I would really appreciate that. Also, check out the Patreon group. That's the biggest way you can support everything that I'm doing. And you get to be part of our patron events each month. You get to be part of our bonus episodes, extra episodes. I really try hard to make it worth your while to become a patron. You can even request a movie for me to review for Family Movie Night if you join the Patreon. And then we have our merch store, which is really fun. You got a lot of fun designs in there. So check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.